we're going to share Part 107 knowledge test questions. And not just share the questions, but we're going to share with you the right answers and why certain answers are correct and why certain answers, well, are just not so correct. Or as you'll learn, the FAA kind of trying to trick you. You're going to realize the FAA, those of you who've taken your Part 107 test already, are going to realize that the FAA is very, very crafty sometimes in how they word these questions. So that's what we're going to work on tonight, really sharing all that with you all so you can go into that test and absolutely just kick butt with it. So tonight we're going to share those actual Part 107 questions and answers. Now, I know a lot of you may not know who I am, so I'll go ahead and share with you guys just briefly about myself. My name is Jason Schappert. We actually started on the manned aircraft side of things. M0A.com is where we started. I'm over 10,000 hours of manned aircraft instruction. I was AOPA. AOPA is the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. It's the largest association of manned aircraft pilots. I was their top collegiate flight instructor in 2008, and I literally just received a phone call today. AOPA's Outstanding Flight Instructor 2014, 2015, and for the trifecta here, literally just received the phone call today, also named that for 2016. So very cool stuff. And again, we help thousands of pilots per year, almost thousands per month now, navigate the complexity of FAA testing like you all are about to partake on. So that's really about myself. Enough about that. Let's dive into some great content here. Here's how this webinar is going to work this evening. I'm going to ask you the actual questions. Now, you're going to answer them, and you do that via your handy-dandy GoToWebinar control panel underneath the Questions tab. So I know it says questions, but you're going to type in your answers there. I'm going to see them. My wife Ashley's going to see them. Matt, who's our online ground school manager, he's going to see them. We're going to work to help you formulate some of those answers. Now, we're expecting this to be a full webinar. We max out at 1,000 people, so when it's full, it's full. No one else can jump on. It's a limitation of GoToWebinar, unfortunately. But so we can't answer every single one. We're going to do our best to help you out with that. I'll read a few, and then, of course, I'm going to share with you the correct answer as well. And more importantly, I'm going to share with you why it's the correct answer. That's what we're really after here. And yes, this is being recorded. And all our previous webinars have been recorded too, and we continue to pump out a lot of great content as well. This will be available literally tonight on remotepilot101.com/blog. So if you know anybody who comes in late or anything like that or missed it, you can always send it to them. I'll email it out in the morning as well. So that is how this webinar works. Now, if that's how the webinar works, let's take a moment to talk about how the test is going to work. Now, the test, I'm going to share this with you before we get to the questions. The test is 60 random questions. Now, I have an asterisk next to it because it's technically 60 questions. However, you're going to get quizzed on, some people will get 62, some people will get 63, some will get 64. And what happens is the FAA is constantly changing and testing new questions. So you're going to get asked maybe, let's say, 63 questions. They're not going to tell you which 3 are just tests and they don't count. They put them in there to see, is this question too easy? Is it too hard? Is it just right? What's the vibe with it? So you're going to get 62, 63, maybe 64 questions, and you're not going to know, geez, did that one count or did that one not count? They're not going to tell you which ones were their practice questions. It's all multiple choice, AVC administered on a computer, and it's proctored. By proctored, I mean, think back to your collegiate days if you took SATs, ACTs, that type stuff. Someone is watching you take the test. Usually you're at a computer station and they're watching you on a camera of some sort, and that's just how they're doing it, just to make sure you don't cheat, anything like that. There are no phones, no electronics. So what I've been telling people, and I'll talk about this more when I get to the sectional charts, the VFR sectional charts towards the end, is a lot of these charts and figures are kind of blurry and pixelated, and they're a little bit older, and it's just the FAA images we're forced to work with. So I encourage you to, one of the things you're allowed to bring in is like a magnifying glass. Now, If eyesight is a challenge for you, please bring your glasses, bring your readers, whatever they are. Bring a magnifying glass of some sort too to really help you see these tiny little symbols on these already blurry charts. It'll benefit you greatly. The testing center should supply you with pencil and paper, but I would bring that just in case. I mean, they take everything out of your pockets. I've heard in some cases people literally get wanded, like we're going through airport security just to make sure. That's how serious they take these tests. Now, a 70% is a pass, and in your case, a pass is a pass. No one but you will ever know what score you get on this. It's not going to say on your certificate, oh, Aaron, he passed, but he only got a 72, whereas someone else passed and they got 100%. We all get the same certificates. So no one's going to know. A pass is a pass. Obviously, we're always striving for the best. I know a lot of people have been asking about that. We're just looking for 70% or greater. And our average customer has been scoring, low 90s, high 80s has been what's happening. Now, as far as the knowledge test itself, you're actually going to go to what's called a CATS or a PSI testing center. Literally, just Google CATS testing center, PSI testing center. See which ones are closest to you and then call them up and schedule that test. You get 2 hours to take the 60-question quiz. Now, the FAA came out sometime in August. Oops, I apologize, I went too fast. The FAA came out sometime in August saying, hey, this is the percentage of how everything's going to be broken down on the test. Well, I can tell you, I've basically thrown out this chart because they underestimated a lot of things. For example, the largest portion is not operations. And by the way, when you see operations, you think, oh, I must be getting quizzed on how to operate a drone. That's not really the case. Operations is more like, hey, you've been hired to inspect this tower at such and such longitude and latitude. What's its height in AGL and what kind of airspace are you going to be in? You and I would call that, well, wouldn't that go under airspace? Well, no, they look at airspace as, hey, what kind of airspace is this? Not scenario-based. So they call scenario-based operations. So I've been telling people that go through our course, if you're already a customer of ours, maybe you've heard this already, but hit airspace hard. We're going to do that tonight here at the end. But the two common themes I've been seeing are weather and airspace. And then there's some crew resource management that we're going to talk about as well in here. This, by the way, you might be reading this question going, I have no clue what they're talking about. This is an example of an actual question. If the unmanned airplane weighs 33 pounds, what approximate weight would the airplane structure be required to support in a 30-degree bank turn while maintaining altitude? They give you this figure and they give you 3 options. And that's an example of a legitimate question. You need a calculator to figure this one out. Another thing you should bring, because if your iPhone is your primary calculator, you're not going to be able to bring it in. Now, newsflash too, you're not able to bring in a scientific calculator. You have to bring in a basic 4-function calculator. Add, subtract, multiply, divide. It can't do anything else. So I don't know where you find a calculator like that anymore. You probably have to go to the dollar store or something to even find a calculator that's just that basic anymore, but they're not going to provide you with one. You have to bring one in with you. So make sure you have that as well, because there are questions like this that are going to require some math as well. But anyways, enough about the test. You guys are here to learn and see some of the questions. So let's go ahead and let's get started on question number 1. How this is going to work is I'm going to read the question a few times. I'll be quiet here for a bit, which my wife will tell you is very difficult for me to be quiet. And you guys are just going to type in A, B, C. If you want to explain why, perhaps, you can as well. But A, B, C, you type that into your handy-dandy GoToWebinar control panel underneath the Questions tab. You can go ahead and type that in there, and that'll all happen for you. So anyways, let's go ahead and let's get started with it. Question number 1. In what situation is advection fog most likely to form? Is it an air mass moving inland from the coast in the winter? Or B, a light breeze blowing colder air out to sea? Or C, a warm, moist air mass on the windward side of mountains? In what situation is advection fog most likely to form? I'm going to be quiet here for a second, grab a sip of my tea, and read some of your answers here. Great answers coming in from Aaron S., Charles H., Danny C. Danny, great last name. Mackenzie B., Dave W., Jason B., great first name. Robert B., Jim B., Sean E., great. And again, guys, we're maxed out at our, just maxing out on people here, so I won't be able to read every single person's, but I'm doing my best to work through these. Again, and you're looking at this going, how is this on a remote pilot knowledge test? I'm here to fly my Phantom 3 Pro, my Inspire, I've got a Mavic pre-ordered, which I do and I'm real pumped about. I've got these things. What do I need to know about advection fog? Well, they're quizzing you on it. This question actually comes from the Private Pilot Manned Aircraft database of questions. And on that note, let me stop for a second. I get on some tangent and sometimes I apologize, but you guys don't realize when you complete this test is like Private Pilot Light. I mean, you are legitimate taking almost a private pilot level written test. So if anyone's ever had a desire to learn to fly, this is pretty darn close to taking the actual written test. You might want to consider, after doing this, just going on and taking the private pilot written test, of which we can help you with as well. But anyways, let's continue here. Our answer, you ready for it? Our answer in this case is A. In what situation is advection fog most likely to form? It's when an air mass is moving inland from the coast in the winter. Allow me to explain. We just recently were out in San Francisco doing aviation seminars. We travel around the country doing manned aircraft seminars as well. So we were out in San Francisco, and San Francisco is where you see classic advection fog. If you've ever seen that picture of like the Golden Gate Bridge when it's got that fog all around it, and it's over the bay, but it's not over the land. Or vice versa, it's over the land, it's not over the bay. You see what's happening is the air mass moving inland from the coast in the wintertime. Well, if you've been to San Francisco, you know it's in the 70s or 60s just about year round. It gets colder in the winter, obviously, but it's moderate temperature, but it's cool enough for this to actually happen. So we take that air over the water and blow it over possibly the warmer ground, and fog forms, and vice versa. Advection fog requires a body of water. So you're looking at it and going, okay, mountains don't work. Jason said nothing about mountains. B, you're thinking, okay, a light breeze blowing colder air out to sea. No, it wasn't colder air. It was air moving, not out to sea colder, but inland and warmer is what we're thinking there with advection fog. Follow me on that one? Let's keep moving forward here. This next question, I do not like this next question because it is the FAA trying to trick you. All right? You'll see the question here in a bit, and I'll explain it. What clouds have the greatest turbulence? First off, you're thinking, well, Jason, I thought I wasn't allowed to fly in the clouds, but again, this is from the Manned Aircraft Private Pilot Database. What clouds have the greatest turbulence? Towering cumulus, cumulonimbus, or nimbostratus clouds? A, B, or C, guys? I'll do my best to be quiet. And again, I'm a fan of always going with your gut on these types of tests. Usually your first guess is the correct one, but in this is that kind of question where you second guess yourself a lot, and the FAA is good at giving you these questions that are just worded strangely. I mean, remember the question is, what clouds have the greatest turbulence? Because I would argue there's two of them on here that guaranteed are going to cause turbulence, but which is going to be the greatest? And I'll tell you, this answer is interesting here. Let's see. At least the people have the two down. Stephen S., remember we talked about don't second guess yourself, because you second guessed yourself and you second guessed the wrong direction, my friend. You were right the first time. Let me see here. Some other ones. Dave S., no, not quite. Asking about the recording. Yeah, this is going to be recorded and we posted later. Don't worry. Mark, no, not quite. Again, this is one of those. It's 50-50. It's pretty obvious, what two we're looking at. Let me find some correct answers here. Charles H., Marcus V, Bradley G, Kyle P, Anthony P, Doug K. Let's see, Brian, you just type right where you just typed is how you answer. Just type a letter in. Again, all you have to do is type in the GoToWebinar question box a letter. We're not doing like a fancy poll. There's just way too many people for something like that to work effectively. So just type it in. And I'm just reading a few as they come in. Des A, beautiful. Drew C, beautiful. Jeremy B, great, great. Oh, so, who is this that just said this right? Jeffrey G, you are spot on, and that's part of my response. I said I was gonna grab a sip of tea, and I never did. I'm just sitting here holding it. Sometimes I wish you guys could see me and I'd like jump around and do everything when I do these webinars. I get so excited. Give me 1 second. What clouds have the greatest turbulence? Towering cumulus, cumulonimbus, or nimbostratus. Let's remove C. And part of this written test is what can we get rid of as well? I kept talking about being a 50-50 shot. Well, it becomes a 50-50 shot if you know that nimbostratus is a no-go. Why so? Because what are stratus clouds? Stratus clouds are low-lying, very flat, no vertical development. Stratus clouds are a sign of stable air. Nimbo simply just means rain. They're stratus clouds that are raining. But we've learned that that can mean very stable air, actually. So our debate comes down to towering cumulus or cumulonimbus. If you said A, I cannot fault you. When I first saw this question, I originally jumped to A, but I stopped and said, wait, think about this for a second, Jason. This is the FAA now. The answer is B, cumulonimbus. And the reason why, first off, they're both cumulus clouds. Yes, towering means they are growing, having these updrafts, but because they are nimbus, meaning rain, these are thunderstorms. You can have towering cumulus all day. Towering cumulus are just, hey, it's what month is it right now? It's October. It's a little bit late for that, but we're still getting it in Florida. You guys up north aren't so much, but think in the summertime where you get these nice white puffy clouds, and some are taller than others, but none of them ever produce any rain. Now the same clouds that you add nimbus to, or rain, are going to be much what? More turbulent. A cumulonimbus cloud is a building cloud, and what's it building? Well, it's building a thunderstorm inside of it. It's going to be more turbulent. Don't get me wrong, towering cumulus clouds are turbulent. I fly through them for a living, but I'd rather fly through a towering cumulus cloud than a cumulonimbus cloud. Do you follow me? Again, it just further emphasizes how we have to slow down because the FAA tries to trick us with these questions. Let's keep moving forward here because I'm already running behind on time, and I want to be respectful of your time. Easy question here. What class airspace does not require approval before entering? Now, don't get confused. The answers are A, B, C, not to be confused with E, C, G over here. Give me A, B, C. They do that to kind of confuse you as well. What class of airspace does not require approval before entering? Guys, there's only one correct answer on here. Everything else is considered controlled airspace. Let's see. Geez, I got to scroll all the way to the bottom here. Oh, a ton of correct answers. A ton of correct answers. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's see, let's see. Thank you, Charles R., Nathan B., Rob W., Lori P., James F., Stacy H., Brian M., Sean S., Martin S., Chris L., Darren B., Earl N., Teague H. Awesome, guys. Great, great answers here. Very, very smart, smart bunch. Don't second guess yourself on some of these guys. Go with that gut. The answer, for time's sake, to keep moving forward, is C. Class G, Class Golf Airspace. Class Golf Airspace is the only uncontrolled airspace we have, right? So when you're going out flying, you don't have to tell anybody, assuming we're not in a national park or local law, and law enforcement, county law, city law, anything like that prohibits it, because they can still have jurisdiction over some stuff. Class G airspace is uncontrolled airspace. I need a waiver to fly in C. I need a waiver to fly in E. You follow me with this? So everything else is controlled. Class Golf airspace. Remember the G, golf, is how the phonetic alphabet for. G as, go for it, whatever it may be, whatever helps trigger that in your mind. Class G airspace, go for it, you're good. Assuming you checked local and city ordinances and national parks and all that sort of stuff and wildlife refuge areas. There's a lot of other things you need to look at. Next question, diving back into some weather. Weather is heavy on the test. This is a tough weather question as well. If the temperature dew point spread is small and decreasing, and the temperature is 62 degrees Fahrenheit, what type of weather is most likely to develop? There is some bait in this question they're trying to feed you. Don't fall for it. Temperature dew point spread is small and decreasing. Really, I could read up to this comma here and know the answer. This is irrelevant to me. The temperature being 62, that's irrelevant to me. What type of weather is most likely to develop? Well, I need to know that, obviously. Well, that's the question. But this, and the temperature is 62 degrees Fahrenheit, has nothing to do with this question. That is bait to try to trick you. Don't fall for it. A, thunderstorms, B, freezing precipitation, or C, fog and low clouds. What does a close temperature dew point spread mean? Let me get my GoToWebinar question box open. Again, for those of you just jumping on, we communicate using that handy dandy GoToWebinar control panel underneath the questions tab. You simply just go ahead and type your questions in to that question box. I know their answers, but type those answers in there as well. Geez, so many of them. I got to scroll all the way to the bottom. Let's see. Oh, beautiful. Mark C. Leonard F. Beautiful. Glenn W. Hildebrando. Hey, don't need to put a question mark after that. You're correct, my friend. Michael C. Abdul. Yep, absolutely. Chad P. Great. Mark F. Mike M. Great. Chuck G. No need for a question mark after that answer, my friend. You are 100% correct. If the temperature and dew point spread is small and it's decreasing, it's getting closer and closer together. Let me explain to you. For those of you, and again, we have a ton of right answers. We have quite a few incorrect answers, so too, don't worry. Let me further explain temperature dew point spread here real quick for you. When you read a METAR, and a METAR is a routine surface observation. If you haven't gotten into reading METARs, it's like reading another language. It's something we cover in the course, though, for you guys. You're going to get a temperature and you get a dew point. If I told you the dew point is the temperature at which moisture becomes visible, essentially, right? There's humidity in all our air right now. And when the temperature reaches the dew point, that humidity, that moisture in the air becomes visible. So if you just read the temperature dew point spread, the difference between the two is small. Let's say it's 2-3 degrees different. And it's getting closer and closer together. What is going to happen? That moisture is going to become visible. What happens when there's visible moisture out there? Fog and or low clouds. When you wake up in the morning and you drive to work, and you have to use the low beams because there's all that fog in the low-lying areas, yet it magically disappears by 9-10 o'clock. Where does it go? Well, the moisture is still in the air. All that happened is the sun came up and warmed up the temperature away from the dew point. That's all. That's like fog 101. Okay, real basic stuff there. C is your answer, fog or low clouds. Let's look at another one here. This is a good, very scenario-based type question real quick here. You've been hired as a remote pilot in command by a local TV news station to film breaking news with small unmanned aircraft. You express a safety concern, and the station manager has instructed you to fly first, ask questions later. What type of hazardous attitude does this attitude represent? And I just clicked ahead too. I got too excited and I already gave you the answer here. Let's talk about this one. I apologize for spoiling that one for you. Let's read the question again here. You've been hired to act as remote pilot in command. This is a very scenario-based type question by the local TV news station. It sounds like a fun little gig. You're filming breaking news, so it's happening now. We don't want to miss it. You've expressed, hey, listen, the weather's not so great today. I got the airspace, there's some issues, all this stuff. So you express some safety concerns. The station manager basically says, listen, fly first, ask questions later. This is the news. We got to break it now. What type of hazardous attitude is this? Or does this represent? I know you guys are all going to put C in there. That's why I just gave it to you ahead of time, because I know you guys are all just that smart. Let's talk about this, though, because there's some different hazardous attitudes. The example here is impulsivity, which is fly first, ask questions later is a great example. Let's just get it done. It doesn't matter. Let's just go, go, go. Very impulsive. Let's go back and teach on each of these, though. What is this machoism here? Machoism usually starts with the term, hey, watch this, is usually how machoism starts, and usually leads to an accident. Invulnerability starts with, it can't happen to me. Accidents only happen to people I read about in those Facebook groups I'm in. It'll never happen to me. I'm invulnerable. Nothing can stop me, right? So a difference between machoism. Machoism is, hey, watch this. Let me be a showboat. Invulnerability is, hey, it'll never happen to me. Don't you worry. Impulsivity is, it doesn't matter. Let's just do it now. Fly first. Ask questions later. Impulsivity. Again, I apologize. I gave that answer away to you guys. I just get clicking too fast and get excited sometimes. Let's do something fun here, and then we're going to wrap this thing up and take your questions as well. Let's do a lightning round. And what I'm going to do is the first correct answer I get is going to win a Remote Pilot 101 t-shirt, but you got to be first. Obviously, I want everybody to be correct, and I'll explain each one, but I'm going to do these fast. First correct answer wins a Remote Pilot 101 t-shirt. If you are the first correct answer, Matt is going to write to you and say, hey, congratulations, you were first, and he's going to go ahead and get your, or give you the info of where to send your shipping info and shirt size too, so we can get you a shirt shipped out tomorrow. First correct answer wins a Remote Pilot 101 t-shirt. Again, how do we type those answers in? You're typing them into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. If you're on an iPad, tap that question mark and it pulls that up there. I'm going to grab a sip of tea and we're going to go right on into this thing. All right, we are looking at a VFR sectional chart for the Jacksonville, Florida area I spent a lot of time in here. All right, let's start with this. My cursor is right here in the middle of your screen. Everybody see my cursor? Right here in the middle of your screen. First question. What kind of airspace is this right here? Solid magenta line. Solid magenta line. What kind of airspace is that? And again, I'm not going to read off who got the first correct answer. Matt is just going to message you. So if you didn't get a message, you weren't first, I apologize. Answer, Class C airspace. Solid magenta line is Class Charlie, Class C airspace. Let's see. Keep moving around here. Keep looking for stuff. Let me find a good one here. What kind of airspace is White House right here? See, this is White House right here. It's a dashed blue line. What kind of airspace is that? White House, dashed blue line. Class D, Class Delta airspace is your answer with that one. Let's keep looking around here. I'm just browsing to find some good things to share with you. Okay, here's a good one. We are doing a shoot out over here. I'm in the top right of your screen now. We're doing a shoot over here near the Fernandina Beach Airport. I'm looking at it and I say, okay, Fernandina Beach is a uncontrolled or pilot-controlled airport. If I stay under my 400 feet, my maximum I can go anyways. I'm in Class Golf airspace, so I'm doing a shoot right here on the beach and I'm doing it legally. However, I think it would still be a good idea, since I'm so close to the Fernandina Beach Airport, to monitor the air traffic frequency at Fernandina Beach, to listen for any pilots flying in. What frequency would I listen to on my handheld radio if I'm right here and I want to listen to traffic at Fernandina Beach? That one might take you a second. I'm going to grab a sip of my tea here. So the answer, I assume we have an answer by now. Answer 122.7 107 right here. Those of you who said 118.075, it's a good guess, but it's incorrect. Let me explain why. Fernandina Beach, and here's their identifier. This first frequency, although it's big, bold, and jumps right out at you, is actually their AWOS frequency. AWOS is Automated Weather Services. So you would tune that up and you just listen to the weather at Fernandina Beach is all you would do. This frequency down here, followed by the C, meaning it is their CTAF, Common Traffic Advisory Frequency, CTAF, C-T-A-F, is 122.7. And on a CTAF frequency, pilots communicate what they're doing. Hey, I'm left downwind for whatever runway, you know, this would be 28, maybe 27, somewhere around that realm. They don't tell you the numbers there, we just see them there. I am left down, so that's what we'd be listening for and watching for traffic. Hey, I'm flying the beach at 500 feet, towing a banner. That'd be real good to know since I could go up to 400 feet and banners can hang down, you know, as far as 100 feet below the airplane. So something else to be always mindful of, be listening. By the way, the handheld radio I recommend, I have no affiliation, not sponsored by, not anything. The Yasu 750, just a radio I use. I do know the aviation director, he's a very nice guy, but I get no kickback for you buying their radio. It just, that is the radio I use. I like it too because it has GPS and it has longitude and latitudinal coordinates. So I can always track. If everyone ever says, hey, you're violating airspace, I can say, here's my longitude and latitudinal coordinates of where I was at this time, you know, look at it on a sectional chart. Anyways, little bit there. Let's keep looking around here. Let's see what other fun stuff I can find for you. Oh, here's something good. What are, again, my cursor is in the middle of your screen. My cursor is moving towards the bottom left of your screen now. Bottom left of your screen over here, there's two routes, VR1003, VR1002. What on earth are these VR routes? There are two of them right here. They kind of started together, and now they're getting further apart, and they come back together. What are these VR routes right here? What are those? Again, I'm going to grab another sip of tea. I think I drink any more tea, I'm going to really be talking faster than I already am. What are those VR routes? Those VR routes, you ready for this answer? Military training routes. These are actually visual military training routes. I know that because they start with a V. That means military traffic can be operating, and on a visual route is operating, this is another written test question, 1,500 feet and below. Crazy, huh? So I could see, and this is, if you're familiar with Jacksonville, Florida, I mean, it is a Navy powerhouse around here. I mean, this is a Navy base, White House Navy, there's Cecil's an old Navy base, and there's just so much Navy activity here. I mean, we could have, you know, a Hornet flying on by at 1,500 feet on this route, or lower. It doesn't say, it just says or lower. So something else to think about as you're flying and possibly flying in this area. You're going to hear it after it's already passed when we're talking that kind of jet, right? So let's continue. Let's do another sectional chart here. This is a TAC, a terminal area chart, and it is for the Orlando area. So let's spend some time here real quick, and let's look at this. First off, I've got this solid blue line, middle of your screen, solid blue line. They're all over the place. What kind of airspace is this solid blue line? Solid blue line is Class B, Class Bravo airspace. Solid blue line, Class B, Class Bravo airspace. Remember the B in Bravo as it's big, it's busy, whatever it takes to remember it for you. This is Orlando International right here. Tampa International is also a Bravo. Miami, O'Hare, Los Angeles, New York's JFK. I mean, there's so many. Our big airports are Bravo airspace. Now, Bravo airspace is broken down into shelves, right? For example, the closer you get to the Orlando airport, this one goes from the surface to 10,000 feet. This shelf goes from 900 to 10,000 feet. This one out here goes from 6,000 to 10,000 feet. So could I operate to inspect these towers right here? Absolutely I could, as long as I don't go, obviously I'm not going to go 6,000 feet, I can't legally do that anyways, I'm underneath the Bravo airspace. If you picture this, It is like if you took a multi-tiered wedding cake, where the smaller tiers at the top and it gets bigger as it goes down, almost like a pyramid, and flipped it upside down. They call airspace like this an upside down wedding cake because you can operate under this, but from 6,000 and 10,000 is this tier of actual airspace here. All right, let's keep moving here. Here's a good question for you. Whoops, I keep clicking ahead here. What is the height of this lit tower right here? I want to know the height in AGL. The height in AGL of this tower, almost dead in the middle of your screen where my cursor is, the one with the lights on. I can tell there's lights because these are little lightning bolts. And again, you think these images are blurry. These images are crisp compared to some of the FAA images you're going to see. So yes, those are little lightning bolts. What is the height in AGL of that tower? Grab another sip of tea here real quick. The height of that tower in AGL. It's this tower right here. Your answer for the lightning round is 1,695 feet. For those of you that said 1,749 feet, that's the height in MSL. Height above mean sea level. AGL is height above ground level. AGL is above ground level. MSL is mean sea level. So the joke is in aviation, in manned aircraft, we set our altimeters for height above mean sea level. So the joke is if you were to hit the top of this tower, this is what your altimeter would say, 1,749 feet. However, this is how far you're going to really fall. 1,695 feet. That's how high it is above the ground. Bonus, the UC, by the way, means under construction. So it could be taller by the time you get there. These charts are only updated every 6 months. So it could be taller by the time you get there. Anything could happen. Let's do a few more in this lightning round, and then we'll wrap this thing up, take some of your questions, because I'm already going over time, by the way. Sorry. Matt just asked me to spell, I see a lot of people didn't know how I spelled the Yaesu radio, Y-A-E-S-U 750. Y-A-E-S-U 750 is the radio I'm using. I see like 400 people ask that question. Poor Matt, I can't type that fast. Or copy and paste that fast, the same thing over and over. So Yaesu, Y-A-E-S-U 750 is, it's a little bit pricey, I think. I don't know, 300 bucks maybe or so, but man, having the GPS in there, because it's so important to be able to prove that if someone ever sees your footage on YouTube and goes, oh, you were inspecting the Bithlow Towers, do you know that's under the Class Bravo airspace? You can say, yeah, I know, and my longitude and latitude shows I was right here inspecting this tower that was under construction, and it shows the shelf only goes up to 6,000. I was totally in the clear. I was totally in Gulf airspace, you know, and I can be able to explain that. So just good stuff there. Let's do 2 more, and then I'm going to wrap this thing up, and I'll take your questions here. There is, let's see here. This is good. Blue hash marks. Guys, see this blue hash mark? It's a big one, too. Blue hash mark. What on earth are these blue hash marks right here? Blue hash marks. What does the blue hash mark signify? Blue hash marks, we know, and you guys who've gone through the course already know this as well. Blue hash marks, restricted airspace. In this case, it is restricted area 2935. Now, here is the $1 million question. This is not a question for the lightning round, but it's a question that's going to come up. Can you fly in restricted airspace? And the answer is, well, yes and no. I can operate inside of restricted airspace if it's cold, meaning if it is not active. So if it's inactive and I want to fly out here in Gulf airspace, I can. But if it's active that day, I cannot. And how do I find out if it's active or not? Well, at the bottom of your sectional charts, there's usually some phone numbers we can call. Even better, you could call the flight service station. There's people we can call on the phone, not on the radio, on the phone to figure out, is restricted area 2935 hot or cold today? And you say, hey, it's hot from this time to this time up from the surface to 5,000 feet. And you're going to say, thank you, that answers my question, I'm not flying today. Click. That's all we need to know. Restricted airspace. I cannot fly in it when it's active, when it's hot. I can when it's inactive or cold. I always recommend calling the flight service station because it is a recorded line as well, and we talk how to do that, and we kind of show that process as well inside our course and everything else for you guys. I could spend 30 minutes explaining that to you, but anyways, that's kind of how that works. Let's do one more good. Oh, here's a good one. What is, last question, lightning round question, what is this dashed magenta line? You follow me? It goes top to bottom of the screen. This dashed magenta line here. There's this weird dashed magenta line right here. I imagine that one might take a little thinking for you guys. Dashed magenta line. What on earth is that? Last question in the lightning round. Let's do it. Let's see who can win a t-shirt. Dashed magenta line. The answer I am looking for, and Matt, if they worded it this way, this is who I want to win this one, that is an isogonic line. Now, if nobody said exactly isogonic line, Matt, I'll give them credit. The first person who said it is a line of magnetic variation, something to that effect. You know what I'm looking for, Matt. You can pick that as winner. But how it's going to read on your knowledge test is this is an isogonic line. You'll notice at the very bottom here it says 6 degrees, there we go, west. You see that there? 630 west. That is showing us for manned pilots in our flight planning, that's showing us the difference between true and magnetic north. In Florida, it's not significant, but go find an isogonic line in Washington State. It's about 13 or 14. Go find one in Alaska. It can be as much as 30 degrees. 30 degrees, the difference between true and magnetic north. Obviously, the closer we get to the poles, the more extreme it gets. So down here in Florida, most of these are this one. Do we see? Can we see this one? Oh, here's right here. Here's another one. 6 degrees west, right here. And they just kind of continue, and they're spaced out that way as we get, closer to the poles. As far as that go, an isogonic line. We covered a lot tonight, and hopefully we covered some stuff that you're thinking like, this is a legit test. I mean, I was not kidding when we first started this webinar, and I said, listen, I mean, you are a hair away from being a private pilot. This is a legitimate test, and it is not as much about drone flying as you would like it to be. It is a lot about airspace, a lot about weather, a lot about regulations, and these types of things, as you guys can obviously see. So you can't just go out and read the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, which is a 630-page tome to go out and read. Nor does the course on FAAsafety.gov cover everything, or I know they put out a study guide. It just doesn't cover everything, nor does it take it and explain it into plain English for you. And if you enjoyed my teaching style, if you felt I was able to take complex subjects and break them down into plain English for you, I encourage you to check out our site, remotepilot101.com, which is online video-based FAA Part 107 knowledge test prep. The knowledge test is not going to be easy. To date, right now, there are 7,513 total tests passed, 984 failed tests. RemotePilot101.com are stats. 2,623 passed tests using RemotePilot101.com and 6 failures. Our program works. We've been doing this for the past 10 years on the manned aircraft side of things. We know FAA testing forwards and backwards. I mean, you look at this number compared to the total number here. The total number here, and we contribute almost 40% of the people who took a test and passed used RemotePilot101.com. We've got 40% of the market share. So really, let us be your guide. It's 65 full 4K quality training videos. You're able to see some of the actual FAA test questions. We're going to help you submit your application to IACRA, and the course is yours for life. It's $99. And truth be told, this is probably one of the last times I've been honoring that price for a while. This is one of the last times I'm going to honor that price until that price goes back up to the $300 where it originally started. This is your opportunity to lock in. Even if you're using something else right now, this is yours for life. The FAA has said every 2 years they want you to retest. And that is why this course is your course for life. I don't want you to have to spend any more money. I know this is you're trying to start your business. You're trying to keep your business going. I get it. I don't want this to be a huge expense. The test alone is $150. So this is even cheaper than the test itself. $99, it's yours for life. The 65 full 4K training videos, you get to see some actual FAA test questions, practice on them. We have a very large question database to go through and take multiple choice quizzes. We're going to help you submit your application. It's yours for life. It's including updates too. I mean, this course started out as 50 videos. We've added 15 videos just in the past month that it's come out, that Part 107's existed. We have a full production team here. We do all our videos in-house. If you love my teaching style, or if my teaching style worked for you tonight, I highly encourage you to check it out. I like to pride myself in taking very complex subjects and breaking them down into plain English. And that is what we're here for. And again, this price is limited to you guys from the webinar. We launched this thing at $300, did another webinar a while ago, did it for $99. I've kept it there and honored that. But I can't keep that price there much longer since it is for life. And we've had, obviously, thousands of customers. We're very, very blessed. But we are going to be raising that price. So this is one of the last opportunities you're going to have to get in at that price point before we raise it up. So lock in that price, $99. It's yours for life. We're going to continue to support it. We're going to continue to update it just as a perspective. I mean, we have email support, we have live chat, we have phone support. Last month alone, we did over 1,700 support tickets. You asked a question, we got you an answer. Usually, if it wasn't a weekend, within 24 hours. On the live chat, it just happens instantaneously. So we are here for you guys with that. $99, and the course is yours for life. RemotePilot101.com. Go to that now to get signed up. You can do that to lock in. I'm going to go ahead and start taking your questions now. Again, we have hundreds of people still on this webinar, so I'm not going to be able to get to every question, but like I said, I'm happy to. We answered 1,700 support tickets last month. What is a few hundred more? I'm happy to take those for you guys. So let me get down. I got to scroll down past all these answers and responses, and I'll start taking some questions. Again, I know Ashley and Matt have been typing away, answering some of those questions for you guys as well. Let me see if I can get to the bottom as questions keep coming in. Let's see. Glenn W. I haven't seen that. Glenn, personally send me an email again, Glenn. I'm going to check it all tonight. So send that again, Glenn, and just do the Robot 101 and hit support and type it in there, Glenn, and I'll make sure that happens. Jeff asked how often we updating the video course. John, I'm shooting for between our manned and our unmanned. We have a full manned aircraft business, obviously, for private pilot all the way to you want to be an airline pilot, essentially. We cover all that stuff. I shoot 10 to 12 videos a day between the two businesses. 2 or 3 of those videos each day go to remotepilot101.com. In fact, tomorrow I believe I'm shooting 8 or 9, like not only update videos, but new lessons. For an example, here's a funny thing. I have reshot our drugs and alcohol video like 3 times. First time I shot it, I'm like, this is easy. 8 hours after you have any alcohol, and then just give you all the numbers. Then the FAA comes out with a question that I see that after you've been convicted of growing marijuana, how long is it so you can resume flying again? I'm thinking, well, doesn't it depend on what state you're in and everything else? I mean, just silly questions. So I updated the video. And then they just came out with another one that's it's something to the effect of how long does it take a single glass of beer or mixed drink to metabolize through your system? Thinking, how is that a remote pilot? That's not even on the manned pilot quiz. This is just on the unmanned remote pilot quiz. So I had to go back and, again, the video you think would be the easiest to be done with, drugs and alcohol, I've updated 3 times just because as things change, as we get feedback from our thousands of customers, we take that feedback very seriously and are updating videos constantly. Again, that is the beauty that I can almost see the studio from my office right here. It'd take me 20 steps to get to the back room where the studio is. All our production is done in-house. We have a director of video production comes in every day, and that is his whole life with that. Anthony asked if I heard of any test scheduling wait times in Los Angeles. Yes, Anthony, I have. In fact, when the test first came out, it was weeks you could get it. In big cities now, it's still days, if not weeks, to get scheduled because these testing centers, they have to allot 2 hours. and then there's, you know, prep and post after each test. So really they block out like 3 hours, so they can only get what, you know, 3-4 tests in a day per computer. So there is a waiting list. Plus there's still manned aircraft testing to happen. So it is crazy getting scheduled sometimes. I've seen a lot of people like go into like a random town to get it. A lot of our guys, I'm in a small town of like 50,000 people, and a lot of our guys had to travel somewhere even smaller to get their tests done. So that's that. Aaron, the answer to that was 1 year. He was asking about the answer to the marijuana question. Well, that's funny. It's after you've been convicted of growing marijuana, how long will you be suspended for, essentially, until you can reapply? It's 1 year. And how the answer should really be, it goes, it depends on what state you're in and how much, because you could be locked up for 15 years now, couldn't you? And forget flying drones. So obviously I'm kidding, but the answer is 1 year, which is just, it's fascinating. And again, the FAA just, I have friends at the FAA and everything else, but I feel like with some of these questions, they're thinking like, man, our database is a little bit light. Let's add some more questions. Let's add, how long does it take for one mixed drink to metabolize through your system? I don't know what they think or whatever. But anyways, that's that. So let me see. Todd asks, if your ID does not have your correct address, do you need 2 forms of verification? So Todd, you are going to need to have something that has the address you registered with on IACRA. So essentially, yes, you're going to need to see that. Let's see. Just reading some here. Gail, hey Gail, she asked maybe a common question, but are the questions in the practice test worded in the same or similar to the actual test? I'm testing tomorrow at 7 a.m. Gail, first off, you're going to do awesome. You're testing tomorrow, so I really don't want you to cram. Cramming before a test is actually a really bad idea, so just rest up, get a good night's rest, and go and eat a good breakfast. Gail, you're a Remote Pilot 101 customer. Our questions are, a lot of them are the actual ones, and a lot of them are very similar to how they're structured. If you'll notice, Gail, I mean, through the 65 videos you went through, we were teaching knowledge. You heard me say it a million times that, yes, I'm going to help you pass the test, but more importantly, I'm going to make you a safe, real-world remote pilot, because there's liability, there's so many other aspects of this more than just passing a test. So, Gail, you have more knowledge than you realize, that no matter how they word the questions, you're going to know the right answer. And this goes for anybody. The wording on some of these questions, like back to the which causes the greatest turbulence question, towering cumulus or cumulonimbus. Well, both cause turbulence, it doesn't matter which is greatest. How they word some of these questions is just killer. Slow down and go with your gut. It's the best advice I can give you. Slow down and go with that first gut instinct. Again, still taking questions. Derek, a great question. Is 333 exemptions still in effect? Well, if you have one, yes. If you are pending, you're not going to get your 333 probably. I've heard of people waiting for a 333 for years now, and they wondered why, or a year, I should say, not years, plural, because they knew 107 was coming out. So here's how it works. Your 333, I need to apologize to you because I know a lot of guys and gals who spent a lot of money to get their 333. I'm talking thousands of dollars with legal fees and everything else. Your 333 isn't going to do you much good because 107 has taken its place. Now, your 333 exemption, Derek, will be good, and you can fly under it until it expires. And then once it expires, you'll need to be 107. So it would benefit you greatly to, again, this is why this 99 for life, like let's lock in on this now. So when your 333 expires and you're ready to start thinking about 107 or 333 is getting close to expiring, you can start that process. Again, I apologize to anybody who spent, I mean, you didn't spend it with me, so it doesn't matter, but I just feel bad because a lot of people went out and spent thousands of dollars for legal fees and such. You know, we almost did it. We ended up hiring a company that already had it, and then with 107, we started doing all our unmanned stuff just in-house now. Makes our life a whole lot easier, but it's nuts. It is absolutely crazy. Let me see here. Let me grab another sip of my tea. Let me see. Excuse me, sorry. Mike C. How long does the TSA background check take? I have seen, I follow all the Facebook groups. Again, so if you ever have a question, you can find me in there as well. I follow all the big Facebook groups online, and I'm in Inspire Pilots and Phantom Pilots and Unique Pilots. I'm on all those forums as well. I've seen probably like 10 people actually get their certificate, because it's not a matter of how long does the background check take. Okay, they say 3 or 4 days. It's really taking about a week now to get that, and then you get a temporary. And then, man, from the temporary to get the hard certificate, I've only seen like 10 people get it, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. Some took the test the day it opened, some took the test a few days later. They're just behind on printing because they still have manned aircraft certificates to print. So your temporary is good though for a bit. But yeah, to answer your question, about 7 days to do it, and that's business days as well. Nick S., I do, but I need you to email me about that because we're picky about who we choose for that. So, Vincent, Gail, back to your question about what Vincent was asking. He said what I was saying was true. In fact, about 75% of the questions on his test were like worded just differently or hadn't seen before, or something like that. But he ended up getting a 95 because you have the practical knowledge. Again, a lot of people are looking for this magic bullet, like, I want to see every actual question, and we have a good chunk of the actual questions. But the FAA does not release that database to anyone. None of our competitors, nothing. No one has it. So it's our job to work on those questions and build those questions up. But my job is to give you the knowledge you need to answer any question, no matter how it's worded, because they can change anything in any matter. Sean, great question. Sean said, after finishing 107, and listen, I'm going to ask this question to everybody because Sean could use some help with this, and I think we're all in the same boat with this. And I'm happy to help in any way too. He said, after finishing 107, what is a good next step for my career? And this goes for anybody out here. Guys, what are you guys doing? I mean, obviously, we use 107 in our business. So we are a content delivering machine. If you've seen m0a.com before, we turn out a ton of content. So we use unmanned aircraft, and that it makes sense for us. But how are you guys using 107 right now? And what sort of advice can you give Sean here? What's his next step? Does he need to get in tight with a realtor? Does he need to join? You know, how does he go out and find employment in this busy space here? Just something interesting to think about. And let me ask you a further question. This is something we're thinking about offering here in the near future is services for people like yourself, Sean. Like, how can we create a professional drone type mastermind group that we all get together, we share great ideas, we share great content, we hear from industry experts, and we just mastermind on how to grow our businesses bigger and better with what we're doing with this. Something else, if you're interested in something like that, any positive feedback on that idea, if that's something that interests you, let me know, because that's something we're considering doing with that. Let me see. So Ken said, and again, Sean, we are a community here. We're here to help. Let's see. Ken said he kind of like went to like an editors conference where people do video editing. You know, like what's it? I want to say NBAA. That's the National Business Aircraft Association. NAB. You can go to broadcasting show and everything else. I mean, there's so many different things. Or NBA. Sorry, National Broadcasters Association. We have too many acronyms, don't we? All sorts of some great stuff. Matthew said, how about some infrastructure stuff? Man, you went to something that's big right now. We're in Florida. I saw a post. I think it's too cheap for the work it is, but if anybody's interested, maybe I can find it. I saw a post that some insurance companies were looking for 107 certified pilots to do Hurricane Matthew damage surveying for them. They were paying like $35 a building. I saw that. I'm like, I don't think that's enough. And again, let's talk about this here too. And again, I really love talking business, if you can't tell, but I'll get back to 107 stuff here in a second. I think obviously $35 is too cheap because, and it depends on what kind of buildings we're inspecting and how much damage. If we're talking single family homes, like, okay, we can work through those pretty quick to inspect. But if we're talking like, you know, skyscraper condo complexes, I'm gonna go through 3 batteries on my Phantom 3 Pro by the time we we can inspect that, right? So that doesn't make it worth 35 bucks. I think it's a little cheap, but there's just so many opportunities and you just don't know till you network and put yourself out there. Search and rescue, getting in tight with your city, medical services, so many great things you can do. Guys, I think I'm gonna do that. Maybe we'll look into like a remote pot for all our customers, maybe doing some type of great mastermind group where we can really strategize in some great business things. I get so many job applications and stuff sent to me that I'd love to share, like this insurance thing. You know, maybe you'd be willing to do it for 35 bucks just to start building a portfolio. You know, there's so many opportunities that I'd love to pass on to people. So yeah, let's do that. Thermal imaging. Yeah, there's so many great things. Let me see here. Reading some more. Anyways, guys, keep asking some questions. What time is it? It's 10 o'clock. I'll take like 2 or 3 more questions. You got to remember, I have an almost 2-year-old at home. Well, she's sleeping, but I do need to be a husband and a father sometimes. So I do need to leave this studio every once in a while. So I'm gonna take a few more questions and we'll do that. Let me see here. No, Frank, it is not. The TSA background check is not an in-person interview. It's just something that it's a check they run on you. Just like you're becoming, you know, just like any background check, you know, that they're going to run on you. Maybe a business even runs a background check on you. Let me see. Derek, cool, thank you. Earl, great question. Earl asked, can I talk about waivers? And by the way, if I missed your question, you need to copy and paste it. I kid you not, I'm talking hundreds of questions coming in at once here. So you need to copy and paste it. Like, Gary, I see, I'd love to answer your question, but it'd take me forever to find it. So copy and paste it again for me. Earl asked, can you talk about waivers? I'd be thrilled to talk about waivers. I have a great video coming out on our waiver approval process as well inside for our Remote Pilot 101 customers. That's probably a few weeks out from coming out, though. We've got to polish that one up a little bit more. Anyways, the FAA has come out with some very, very good news. First off, we get waivers for what? We get waivers to break the rules or fly beyond what the rules say. In fact, the top 5 waiver requests right now are night operations, operations over people, beyond visual line of sight operations, no visual observer operations, operations from a moving vehicle. You would think the #1 would be operating in airspace, but it's not. In fact, it's not even in the top 5, which I find fascinating. That night operations is the top one. Obviously, you're doing some thermal imaging stuff or something because, you know, I may be shooting 4K on, you know, the Inspire and the Phantom Pro and everything else, but still, there's just not enough on that sensor to do much of anything good at night. So I find that interesting. Now, the FAA has said that if your waiver is for the same location and it's going to be the same person flying, that they will consider, I have not heard of this being done just yet, this is just hearsay, well, it's not hearsay, the FAA did say it, that they will approve it for up to 4 years. But it's got to be same location, same pilot, same drone, all that stuff. It's got to stay, I mean, stinks same drone because how much better is technology going to be in 4 years? You know, the Inspire is going to be obsolete in 4 years, that sort of stuff. So just things to think about there, but kind of exciting. So obviously you submit for it online. I have seen very few waiver approvals just yet, and it is a waiting game. The FAA recommends right now 90 days. That's tough, guys, because what if you get a gig that says, hey, this insurance company needs you to come do roof inspections for the Hurricane Matthew damage, and this one's in this airspace. And you're like, man, I'd really like to make some money, but I need to apply 90 days out. They have to come up with something faster. I just saw today, DJI just announced, you know, DJI has their no-fly and you just can't fly. But what happens, DJI is not letting me fly in this airspace, but I have a waiver to fly in this airspace. It is a very long process to get that no-fly firmware update for your drone specifically. DJI is offering that we will turn off all no-fly stuff for very specific people as well. They haven't shared much more about that, but that's all I know about that right now. So there's some, guys, we are at the brink of something like so cool. This is such a booming industry right now, and it is there's so many opportunities out there, and just so much changes so quickly. And that's why I love the idea of like the mastermind, because we find about, since we have FAA contacts and so many friends in the business, that we find out about this stuff first, and first mover advantage pays dividends. I mean, that's how remotepilot101.com got 40% market share so quickly, is we saw this coming and we were able to take action on it. You can do the same in your business. So just some cool things to think about. Don says, tremendous webinar. Can't wait for his next job in Ocala, so you can come say hi. Thanks for sharing, Don. Absolutely. This goes for anybody. If you ever are in Ocala, O-C-A-L-A, Florida, and want to come check out our studio and see the manned airplanes and the unmanned aircraft, you are more than welcome to come on by for a studio tour. Just shoot us an email. We can set that up too if you ever want to say hi. So we're welcome for that. Let's see here. Can I list who needs a waiver real quick? Yes, Aaron. So who needs a waiver? Well, anytime you want to operate beyond what Part 107 says you cannot do. Part 107 says I can't fly in this airspace. I can't. If it says you can't, and you need to do that, you need a waiver. It is a waiver waiving this regulation of Part 107, saying yes, you are allowed to violate that. Let me see. I told Gary I was gonna. Oh, Gary, you sent your question to the website. I see that now. Okay, great. I'll watch for that, Gary. Once I get done here, I'll probably hop in and take some questions, and then go to bed. Let's see. Yes, Haram, this webinar is recorded, and it'll be up on remotepilot101.com like within 15 minutes of me saying bye to you guys. Let me see. Again, guys, I have just so many questions. Just trying to pick a few out. David, awesome. We were just down in Naples literally 2 days ago. Beautiful. We love Naples down there. It's great. There's a flight school down in Naples we're now working with, so that's where we're down there visiting those guys. What states are best for drone operations to get work? Jeez, Eugene, it's such a booming industry right now. Anywhere. I mean, Florida's huge right now because of the hurricane. California is huge. Texas is huge. New York. I mean, there's just it's booming wherever you go, my friend. Yeah, Virginia, absolutely. I mean, it's just it's bumping, no doubt. Let me see. You apply for a waiver on the FAA website, Jose. I see that. Let's see. Cool, guys. There's just so many questions. Guys, if I was not able, let's wrap this thing up. If I was not able to get to your question, remotepilot101.com, hit support, go in there, ask your questions that way. If we don't get to them tonight, because it is getting late on the East Coast for us, we're going to get to them in the morning for you guys when we open up. So listen, again, I can only honor this price I'll honor it for you guys. So I'll leave it open a few more days, but that price is going to go up. It's $99. It is yours for life. remotepilot101.com. It's yours. And we're going to continue to update, continue to support you guys with that. So listen, guys, thanks so much just for spending time out of your evening to spend with us. Thanks so much just for being such a blessing to myself, my beautiful wife, Ashley, our gorgeous daughter, Ella, this great team here at remotepilot101.com. If there is anything at all we can do this week, this month, to make you a safer, smarter remote pilot, a more profitable remote pilot, we're here to help you all with that. So enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, and we'll see you all later. See you guys.